Welcome to episode 2 of Spinning the Black Circle, and on this episode we're going to take a look at one of the masterpiece records in Danzig's career, the one that started it all, the very first self-titled debut record from Danzig, released August 30th, 1988. This record is a beast of a record from start to finish.
Absolutely.
Not a bad song on the entire thing. It's a perfect record. It's an absolutely perfect record. Although not my favorite of Danzig's albums, that would come later with the following record after this one. This one is right up there. You can't find fault in this thing at all, but we're going to go through it track by track and just give you an overview. It's an incredible record. Starting off, first track, Twist of Cain.
One of the best songs ever.
Yeah. I mean, the band did a video for that track. It was played pretty heavily on MTV. It's still, all these years later, still a hugely popular song, 30 years later now.
Yeah.
Still a hugely popular song. Inspired by the biblical story of Cain and Abel. It was written during the Sam Hain days, before this record, but after, obviously, November Coming Fire, those Final Descent era stuff. That was, that one, and Possession was the other one.
Yeah.
Written around that time. And, huge song, great song. I mean, if you know Danzig, you know Twist of Cain.
Yeah.
You can't really... There's not much more that can be said about that one. It's a legendary track, starts off the record. I mean, what a way to start off an album. It lets you know that,
it's going to be good.
He ain't fucking around. So, track 2, Not of This World, another great song.
Keeping on with the great songs.
I know, that's the thing. This is going to become just a praise episode, but it really is. Not of This World is just another. I love that song. It's got a bluesy, and that's one thing that this record, to me, started his, obviously it started his bluesy sound.
Yeah.
His, it showed a little bit more of probably what his early influences are, maybe a little more so than the Sam Hain Misfits stuff. It really dug into, I think, him using his voice in a whole new way.
Yeah.
Which I think was great. He hadn't,
He starts like howling.
Yeah.
And I love that.
You could tell it was going to come to this point. By the time, if you listen to November Coming Fire, you can tell that vocally this is the direction he was going to go. Not of This World, though, great song, great lyrics. Not of This World, Nothing Bites Like I Do. If anything, Glenn Danzig's, he's the beast, the werewolf, beast guy.
The werewolf beast guy.
Yeah, he was a great song. I would love to see him do that live. That's one I don't know if I've ever seen him play that song live.
No, I don't think I have.
Yeah. I'm not sure I ever have. Great song.
You've seen him more than I have, and
you've
never heard it.
Off the top of my head, I don't think I've seen that one. I don't know. It doesn't ring a bell, but it should. It's time to play that one. Track 3, and probably the first in a long line of sex songs from Danzig. There's a whole list of them, but this was the first one as far as Danzig songs go, and that's...
She Rides, of course, is kind of renowned as like the sexy Danzig song.
Yeah. They did a video for that one too, which if you're familiar with Danzig, you're familiar with that video. With the, I think that's the only redhead.
That's the only redhead in in the Danzig video, as far as I know.
Yeah. And it's funny, like if you watch that video, it's basically just an ass. And then Danzig. That's
ass Danzig.
Yeah, like you get that split screen. I know when I watched that as a kid, I was like, I hope my mom doesn't come in the room, when I was watching
It's like, I'm just looking at Glenn, I promise.
Yeah, it's just Danzig. Meanwhile, like, my parents had the big TVs, this giant ass on the thing, and she's...
If you're, like, not sure whether to look at the ass or to look at Glenn, and you're like, Glenn's pretty cool, but, like, Chick's pretty cool, too.
Well, Glenn has always, given you a visual to look at.
He has.
He's got himself for the ladies.
Yeah, exactly.
And
there's
he's got
something
ladies
for everyone.
for the dudes, so...
Ladies for the dudes and dudes for the ladies. Well, him for the ladies.
Yeah.
But, it worked.
It definitely worked. Great song. Definitely, the first in the sexy Danzig songs. Perfect for all you strippers.
Stripper song.
Yeah, Danzig's
first stripper song. I don't think any strippers are tackling any Misfits or Sam Hain, but...
What? You can't strip to All Murder, All Guts, All Fun?
You could. It might break something.
You can't strip to Death Comes Ripping? Of course you can. Alright, track 4, Soul on Fire. This song is actually a hugely popular song in the fan community. I've seen a lot of people say that that's their favorite track on this album.
It's a great song.
Surprisingly to me, but it's a phenomenal song. Great vocal, really great lyric, great song. But it seems to be the one song that a lot of fans say is
Yeah.
like their favorite track.
His voice is so powerful on that track.
Yeah.
I can see how it's. I mean, you can really just, throw a dart and hit an incredible track on here.
That's pretty
So
much
it's like,
it. Yeah.
There's no wrong answers as to what your favorite song would be on here.
Yeah. I always like seeing what other fans, pick as their favorite song to see which one it is that stands out the most. And for a lot of people, it seems to be Soul on Fire. Rightfully so. Great song. Great song.
Absolutely.
Number 5, Am I Demon? Right from the get-go, that opening riff is just like so huge. They did a video for that one too. Surprisingly, they made 4 videos off of this album, which is rare for this time frame. Usually bands were, especially new bands, were only making 1. If you got lucky, you got to make a second video. And, in the case of Danzig, he made 4.
Yeah.
So, Am I Demon, huge song. Another one he still plays all the time. I mean, it's definitely a classic. If you're even watching this, you're like, yeah, I know that song. Everybody knows that song. Great track, great riff, great vocal. Again, throw a dart and you hit a great track on this record. Track 6, Mother.
Probably if you know any song by Danzig, it's Mother. People
True.
that have never heard of Danzig could pick them out of a lineup. They still have heard the song.
Yeah.
It's one of those songs that, it is that song for him. And of course that also had the video. The first video was not as successful, unfortunately, as the live video.
Well, the thing is, what's kind of interesting to me is my cousin had recorded the episode where it was originally played in its entirety, the original Mother video, the uncensored version. First of all, I'm amazed that ever passed the censors in the first place for MTV.
Yeah, but that just...
Yeah, let's pass that through.
It's fine.
I mean, like, that's definitely one of those videos where it's like, I can't believe they originally played that once. My cousin had the Headbangers Ball episode that was originally played on. And, he showed it to me, and I was, wow. I was, like, totally blown away by that, And then every time you would see Headbangers Ball after that, it was always, like, the censored version.
Yeah.
So it's like, they probably was only that one time, and I'm sure people complain, like, the guys...
You can't do that.
Yeah, what are you doing? Like, you can't just kill a chicken on a video. Like,
He's like, what'd I do?
Yeah, what's the big deal? It's just a chicken. What's the matter with you people? You guys eat chicken every day. And I was like, what, But it's like...
Just do this with Alice Cooper, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly, Alice had the thing, Ozzy's biting the heads off of bats, Glenn's killing chickens. I mean, it's...
Ozzy even bit the head off of a dove in his, record executive's office or something like that,
craziness.
too. So if you're a bird, stay away from rock and roll.
True. Absolutely. I mean, I remember really liking that version of the video, and then, begging my parents later on to purchase said home video, which is right here. I begged and pleaded for that thing, and that's my original copy.
That's
even though
awesome.
it's beat up because it's been with me since I was a little kid. But I've watched that thing a zillion times, and miraculously, I still put that thing on and it still plays, which is something to say.
Find a VCR that plays. It's just as amazing.
So thank you to Glenn for making a good quality product. That thing is still playing 30 years later, the VHS video. The Mother, huge song. Wasn't the hit that it became until 5 years later, obviously Mother 93. And, even to this day, that song is still being discovered by people. I like watching some of
on
YouTube, some of the reaction
videos are...
They're incredible.
It's like discovering the song all over again with somebody else, and it's incredible. The reactions are absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, if you get a chance, I would look up Danzig Mother reaction videos. Those are
all the Danzig
priceless.
reaction videos are actually really funny.
Yeah,
we've watched some.
But they're interesting because they know the song, which is interesting.
Yeah, they're like, wait a minute, I've heard this before.
Yeah, it's like everybody knows that song, and I mean, is it Glenn's best song? No, I don't think it's his best song, but it's definitely his. His
it's that one
most
song that reached everyone.
Commercially acceptable. It's one of those songs, it's like a 1 in a million song where you can write, 1,000 songs and you'll only write one Mother because it's just all the fruit lines up on a track like that. And to this day, it's still a massively popular song. I think every show I've ever seen Danzig do, he plays Mother live.
Yeah, every show.
You kind of have to. It's like Rock and Roll All Night, for Kiss or... whatever. There's always like that song, Thunder Kiss 65 for Rob Zombie. It's like if he doesn't play it, people are gonna be like, eh. But I mean, amazing track. The video, though, I mean, I to this day, I don't think I've ever seen a video like that.
No.
It builds up so quick. It's such a quick song that like, it builds up and all of a sudden it's like, he kills the chicken and the blood on the thing and the girl tastes the blood and you're like sitting there, whoa, whoa, whoa.
This all happened.
This happened a little too fast for me, Glenn. My
from
little
0
mind.
to 60 and you're like, I just
Yeah.
need a moment to process.
But that was it, you know, I was hooked. I was hooked after that. I was very little.
Like, I don't even know what the hell this
I was
is.
way too damn little to be watching that video. And thanks to my cousin, I now have I've warped mine and I'm sitting here talking to you people. So,
So, it was all for the better.
yes, I became a massive fan after that as a small child. So, anyway, moving on. Everybody knows Mother. Obviously, that's the quintessential Danzig track. Everybody knows it. Track 7, Possession. Written during the Sam Hain period. There's demos on Final Descent for Twist of Cain when it was Twist A, spelled differently instead of Twist of Cain. It was Twist of Cain, whatever.
Now you know.
It was on Erie's bass. And the Possession, Possession, also written during the Final Descent days. And the early demos are pretty cool to see that, where the songs were going before Rick Rubin got a hold of them with Glenn and refined everything. And great song. It starts off with that like backwards.
The piano.
Yeah, the little backwards piano, creepy, sounds like it's being played backwards track. And I always love stuff like that, And then Glenn comes in with that howl, and there it is, Great riff song. I mean,
Can't go wrong with that.
you can't go wrong with that. Song's about possession, creepy
Good
topic.
times.
Fun for the whole family. All right, track 8, End of Time. I think, it's that track to me is like kind of like one of the lost gems on this record. It's one that people don't really mention too much, but it's got great, I love the drums in that song. I love the stuff Chuck does in that song, like right before the chorus.
Yeah.
The bridge right before the chorus. I love the drums in that, like the real thunderous, and I love that song, and it's kind of one of those songs that no one ever really mentions. It's such a great song.
It really is.
Such a great track. Track 9, The Hunter. Let's see. This, I know the answer to this, but I get confused. It's a track that was credited to Glenn on this record, but it was actually written by Booker T and is it the G's? Booker T and the MGs and Carl Wells are the original writers of the track, but it was a song recorded by Albert King. And I've heard the original demo of that, the original recording, the Albert King version. And very similar. Glenn did change a few words, but it's very similar, track. So it's interesting that he got credit for it on this thing. But I love that song.
It's a great song.
It's a strong, the Danzig version is like powerful, This whole record, very bluesy, the whole thing's just got that really bluesy rock, but done really well,
Oh yeah, his voice was just like so... His voice at that point in time was just so perfectly tailor-made for that style of singing.
Yeah.
That, that mixed with an incredible band,
Yeah, agreed.
It was going to be good.
Track 10 is the final track on the record, and it's my favorite song on this album. That's Evil Thing. I love that song. I've always loved that song. It is, to me, that is like the lost classic Danzig song. It is so good, and I'm hoping now that he's doing a 30th anniversary tour coming up this summer, I think it's summer, they're saying, I'm hoping he does this thing in its entirety, and if he does, I will love to hear Evil Thing played live. I've never heard that song played live. Love that track. It's my favorite song on this album. I love every song on this album, for sure. But that one, for some reason, just, I don't know. I love everything about it. The vocals, the riff, everything about that song is just killer. And this lineup right here, I think 99.5% of the fans would agree is the classic, Glenn in his prime, obviously there's going to be debates as to what the best lineup of the band ever was. It's hard to argue that point when
he's never had bad musicians.
No, he's never had bad musicians, but it's kind of hard to argue when to me, this is his most perfect lineup. Obviously, other guys that have been in the band have been super talented. There's always great guys, always really, really, cool guys and great musicians and everything else, but sometimes there's just a perfect chemistry that works like nothing else. And even though, you may have another drummer who's fantastic. Joey Castillo is an incredible drummer. He's not Chuck Biscuits, and, Chuck playing and Erie and John Christ, and it's just when the magic happens, and that's what it is. It's kind of like, I hate to use Kiss again as another reference, but it's like, yeah, you can put better players in that band, but the original four is the magic that made the band. And that's the thing with Danzig, for me and for a lot of other fans, is them four guys right there are magic. Putting them four guys together, playing these songs, playing this music, it was magical, and it's impossible to replicate magic. No matter how good of musician you put into the band later on, that core lineup is just, it's magic.
Absolutely.
And Chuck fucking Biscuits, my God.
Chuck
Biscuits, what a beast of a drummer.
Yeah, he played his ass
God,
off.
he's just...
He's incredible.
I love Chuck Biscuits. Yeah, what else can I say about this record? James Hetfield from Metallica sang background vocals on 2 tracks. Twisted Cain and Possession. And, let's see. I think that was it. I mean, it's the band's best-selling album.
Certified platinum.
Yes, it went gold way back in '94 and is now a platinum-selling album, so it's still their best-selling album. Is it their best? I prefer Lucifuge, but I can't find fault in this record. I would give this record, 5 skulls out of 5 skulls. It's that good. The obvious, the Danzig skull, the big, everybody, has got that tattooed, and that's like the big thing. Even though it did get carried over from Sam Hain.
Yeah.
I mean, striking visual art on the cover. Kind of interesting that not a single song title was mentioned on the back. It was like, we don't even need to tell you what songs are on this. This is just going to be so badass you need to buy it. And they were right.
They did.
It's a masterpiece record. And that's why we wanted to talk about it. The home video, out of print, but essential. I hope someday that he takes that one and the Lucifuge one and actually puts them out officially as a DVD thing. I highly recommend that, if not for the backstage stuff and the behind the scenes stuff is just gold on that. Such a great video for sure. And there's a lot of promotional material that was made at the time. There's tons of promo posters. Def Jam obviously being a major label was able to back up the band with way more promo than they ever had in Sam Hain, way more publicity and everything else. So it's like there's a lot of promotional material. There's press kits and posters and all kinds of stuff. One little thing that I did was able to get is this is a mask, and this was given out to wholesalers who wanted to distribute the album, where you could, there's a string, an elastic, a little rubber band elastic thing on the back of it, and you can actually make your own little Danzig skull mask out of that thing. And it's the price is kind of interesting because it was $5.45 to wholesale LPs or cassettes, and $10 to wholesale CDs, which is amazing how vinyl was way cheaper and CDs were more expensive, whereas now it's the complete opposite. Completely, it's like CDs now are like next to nothing to wholesale.
Like $5.
Not even. CDs wholesale are ridiculously cheap, and then vinyl would be way more expensive. So it's interesting to see how times have changed. And this is extremely rare. I brought this on the bus and showed it to Glenn, and Glenn said I never authorized that. And so I quickly put it back inside my promo copy of the album and said, sorry sir, I will, Now, we talked about it for a little bit, and, he didn't authorize it. So some Def Jam executive had, not passed the letter on to Glenn. But there's a lot of stuff to collect. There's a lot of promotional material, 8x10s, posters, press kits, CD singles, cassette singles, different versions of the CD. This CD's still in press, and it's been, pressed so many different times. Now, this promo album, the mask came inside this promo copy of the album with the promo thing at the bottom, but with the sticker. But the very first pressings was just the skull, and then as time went on, when they repressed the CDs, the Danzig logo would be printed right on the cover. Been printed a million times. There's a zillion pressings. There's a lot of stuff to collect. There's the UK versions. There's a billion different versions of this thing out there, and all highly collectible, and definitely worth picking up for sure.
Definitely.
It's not in print on vinyl. none of this stuff is. Unfortunately, the Def Jam stuff is all out of print officially on vinyl. So if you happen to see a copy of one of these albums lurking around, it's either a really expensive original or it's a bootleg. So hopefully someday this stuff comes back out and they actually, you know, put the catalog back in print on vinyl as it should be.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it for us on this episode. What is your favorite track off of this record right here? Do you agree that it's a masterpiece record? If so, leave us a little comment, because we like to know what the fans think, and we like to know what you guys are into and get to know some of you guys a little better, because I find it interesting. You know,
Yeah.
even though we're all huge Danzig fans, it's like we all have totally different opinions about so much stuff, and I think it's fascinating. And
Definitely.
you know, especially you being the social media person, you know, fills me in on all that fun stuff. So leave a comment below, click right there on the floating pumpkin to subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time for another episode.